"And I suppose this is the approach course," said Charles Malcolm. "Full of natural hazards." His wife Celia replied with dignity, "That is the tennis court." Charles made a derisive noise. "All it needs," she said, eyeing him, "is a little levelling." "All it needs," said Charles rudely, "is a hay cutter and a steamroller. And this is the place you wouldn't sell." His sister-in-law took up the cudgels. "It's perfectly lovely, and you know it. As soon as Celia and I set eyes on it, we fell for it." "That I can believe," said Charles. "A mullioned window or two and a ruined chapel, and I'd expect you two to go over at the knees. But Peter was with you. What did he fall for? Beer at the local pub?" "There's a trout stream at the bottom of the garden," Margaret pointed out. "So there is," Charles agreed. "And another in the servants' hall for wet days. Bowers showed it to me." "Simply because there was a pane of glass out of one of the windows," Celia said hotly. "Of course the rain came in." Margaret tucked her hand in Charles' arm. "Wait till you've seen your bedroom. It's got linen fold panelling, and there's a cupboard which is all part of it, and which takes you ages to find." "That really is jolly," Charles said. "Then if anyone burgles our room, he won't be able to find my dress coat. I suppose I can mark the place with a cross." "No, you have a compass and take bearings," retorted his wife. "Come on in and we'll show you." They turned away from the tennis court and began to walk back towards the house, down one of the neglected paths that wound between the flower beds to the terrace on the south side of the building. "Chas, can you look at it with the sun on that heavenly grey stone and blame us for refusing to part with it?" Margaret exclaimed. "I'll wait till I've seen my room," Charles replied. But he had to admit that this house, which had been left to his wife and her brother and sister, was artistically all that could be desired. Built originally many hundreds of years before of grey stone, much of it was now ruined, and much had been added at different periods, so that the present house was a rambling structure, set in wooded grounds where oaks, which had been there when the Conqueror landed, reared up huge gnarled trunks from out of a tangle of undergrowth. A drive of about 1/4 of a mile in length twisted through the trees to the gates that opened onto the road which led to the village of Framley, a mile away if you went by road, but much less if you walked across the fields at the back of the house. Down the road towards the village, but set back inside the Priory grounds, were the ruins of the chapel which had so captivated Celia's fancy. Dismantled during the Reformation and later battered by Cromwell's cannon, not much of it now remained, but fragments of the walls rose up crumbling out of the grass. Here and there part of the walls remained to show the Gothic windows, but for the most part they were no more than a few feet in height. The Priory itself had been restored so that the many rebuildings and additions had left little outward appearance of the old home of the monks. Celia, who had acquired a book on old abbeys, declared that the library, a big room giving on to the terrace, was the original refectory, but she admitted that the panelling was probably of later date. The place had come to her quite unexpectedly. An uncle whom she, in company with Peter and Margaret, had visited at dutiful intervals during his lifetime, had bequeathed the Priory to his nephew and his 2 nieces. No lover of rural solitudes, he himself had never occupied the house. In his turn, he had inherited it some 5 years before from his sister, who had lived there through marriage and widowhood. As she left it, so it now stood, and no sooner had Celia Malcolm and Peter and Margaret Fortescue seen it than they declared it was just the place they had dreamed of for years. At least the 2 sisters said so. Peter was less enthusiastic, but agreed it would be a pity to sell it. It had been to let for quite a long time, but ever since the first tenants who rented the house 2 years after the death of its original owner had left, no one had made even the smallest offer for it. "Your uncle had a good deal of trouble over the house," had said Mr. Milbank, the solicitor. "When she lived in it, his sister never made any complaint, but she was an eccentric old lady, and it's conceivable she wouldn't have cared.